So you're talking about some staff training or staff interaction, right?
Yeah, I was working with a couple of people, and I know they loved their team members, and their team members probably aren't producing what they should. It's like, okay, make appointments and not getting appointments and whatever it is. And they feel so close to them, attached to them, because they also were their students and now they're black belts. And they kind of promised them this position. They're not making that position.
It's hard.
And then it goes from like, do I micromanage this person? Because they don't really like that. So, so what do you do? So I came across that thing by Tony Dungy today. And I know he's had all kinds of challenges coaching football players and things like that. But it's a little bit different. You can be a little hardcore there. But, when the personalities, I remember just having family members and all of a sudden, okay, what do I do with this family member now who's not cutting it? So
yeah,
I just wrote that today and put it out. And then you said, ha-ha.
Yeah.
It's an experience in this area.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. First of all, I haven't had that many I've had more staff members than I ever thought I would have, right? And, I fired more staff members than I ever thought I would ever even hire. So definitely have some experience with that. I can tell you my experience that I think some major faults that I've had are hiring too early, not firing fast enough, not expecting enough, and then letting the buck stop with me instead of with them. So I feel like those are the things that I'm still dealing with. The first two I've got. I now know that I'm going to slow down on, is this person really a good fit? Do I really want this person? And then almost immediately I'm going to decide on day one, in week one, we all know if somebody's going to be a good fit. Deep, deep, deep down. We have that human connection and we can tell this person's good or this person's not good. And I think that, and maybe there's some outliers, right? But I feel like I know right away. And I'm better now at letting them go. For example, we let go of 2 summer camp staff members in week 2 of summer camp. We don't wait till week 10 of summer camp for them to continue to mess things up. We can tell immediately who needs to go and who doesn't. And we actually hire more than we know we'll need because we know every year, without fail, 1 or 2 out of the 10 that we hire are simply not going to hack it. And through the interview process, through the training process, through all of that, we can't always tell. It's hard to tell because hiring is just plain hard. But then right away we know, okay, we told this person 5 times how to do this, where to line them up, and how to line them up. And they continue to, where's my little thing, to call, can somebody help me line these kids up? No, we can't. Sure, I can help right now, but I need to have a discussion with you at the end of the day. It's hard to do, but I feel like we're good at that now, but I still am working on setting really high expectations and then holding them accountable for those expectations as opposed to me. The thing that I hold myself accountable for is this person is screwing up. Have I given them the right training? Do they have the right systems? Do they have the right support? I definitely have a huge amount of responsibility, but if they're not doing their job, they're not doing their job, especially if we've given them all the tools with which to do that. And I think sometimes it's easy, at least for me personally, to take that responsibility on and say, oh, well, I must have done something wrong. And it's maybe, but they also, let's not forget that some people just don't do well in certain jobs. They're not a good fit, or they don't do it. Some people just don't have a good work ethic. And I think all the people who are here on this call have such a good work ethic. You guys are here all the time in your businesses. It's your life. And then when we see someone else who doesn't have that, we're like, okay, well, they don't have to. I'm the boss man. I'm the boss lady. I do all this. It's okay for them to not have it. And maybe it's not okay. Maybe they do need to suck it up and do it. And we need to have those expectations. So I'm working on it.
When you say you set high expectations, I don't know what that means.
Meaning like you're talking about appointment set.
Or just your expectations. I don't know.
So for example, for us, one of the ethics that we have, and we talk about with summer camp counselors and with our instructors, is I don't want to hear about somebody else's summer camp did this and we're doing better. I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? It is easy to sit on our haunches when we hear that this other summer camp only goes to the pool once per summer and we go every week. Okay, so, right, you know what I mean? Or this other summer camp doesn't have as good of a staff ratio as we do. Okay, so like our standard is our standard, not somebody else's, and we set that and we meet it. For example, high expectations are the bathrooms aren't just clean, they're literally perfect. Like we had this discussion in staff meeting the other day. I'm sorry that it has to be this way, but the standard is perfect. If I walk through the bathroom after you've cleaned it and I find anything that is wrong, you're in trouble because it has to be that way. If we leave any room for, oh, I forgot to wipe that particular surface, explain to me why you forgot to wipe that surface. Is it because you don't care about your job or is it because you're bad at it? It can only be two, right? Which one is it? Maybe you had a bad day, but we can all suck it up. So those are the kind of expectations we're talking about. We don't miss emails. We don't miss calls. We don't misspeak to parents. We don't miss bill. We don't forget that a kid is here. Like these are our expectations.
You sound like a lot like Scott Dolph. I like Scott Dolph because he says, I expect things to be perfect.
Right.
And he goes, and I hate when they're not perfect.
Right.
So
right.
I got to make sure that he's got me like double, triple reading everything now.
Right.
Okay, so you have that in your head. And it's one of the things that I had a tough time when I first started running my school. I expected it, but I think I expected in my head. I don't know if I told the person exactly what I expected. Make a flyer. And I go, what the heck's that? I go, it should be red letters and it should be blue and the picture should be this big. Well, you didn't tell me that.
Right.
So with your high expectations with like a bathroom or anything, you just tell people that or?
No, man, we have to systematize it so that they can, it's not, okay, so it's not fair to get on to a martial arts student who you gave instructions to and didn't hear you, right? They're punching, jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. You say, all right, ready, tension, and everybody else comes to attention, and this kid's still punching. He didn't hear you. You can't say, Johnny, you're a piece of junk. You have to say, Johnny, did you hear me? And he's like, oh, sorry, attention, right? So, like, it's not fair to expect something you haven't made very clear. So we have, I don't have it in front of me, but we have a bathroom checklist. You must initial literally every single point. It's not clean the bathrooms. And I will say that our staff, they haven't expressed to me so much, but I know for a fact that it's not great to have to check off a checkbox. But it also means that if they do it and they take it seriously, they never miss anything. They're never going to come. I'm never going to come to them and say, hey, you missed this because they checked it off. And if I do say, hey, this is not clean, oops, that means it's not Letitia's fault. It's we didn't put it on the checklist, so now we put it on the checklist. So you have to have systems. You have to show them how you want it to be clean. But that's another thing that I used to do is that okay, I've trained this person in how to do this, and they did it wrong. Okay, I need to help them again, and then I help them again, and then I help me. How many more times do I need to help them before I say, look, if you get it wrong again, it's pretty clear that you're not able to do this,
That's going to be my next question.
Yeah.
How much training did you get? Trained twice, 3 times? Is it like you review the training once a month, or they just after a while, after 2 weeks, they should have it?
Yeah, and I think they should have it, and it depends on the complexity, right, of it. I think there are some things like, for example, lead scheduling that you have to continuously get better at. Like you have to continue to hone your skills. Once you get the bathroom, you get the bathroom, right? But like if you're answering inquiry calls and you're following the script, you've done it, but you haven't necessarily scheduled the appointment. Okay, we need to talk about your tone and your inflection. I think there's different levels of training, and that's why we have master level instructors and apprentice level instructors, right? You can follow the same curriculum, but one of them is clearly amazing and one of them is just, suffers through it. But what responsibility do they have to go home and practice? When you guys are going to sleep at night, what are you thinking about? You're probably thinking about your next day. What do I have at 8 a.m. tomorrow? And I'm going to talk to Greg at 11, and then I've got a meeting with daycare at 1. We're going to do a program. What are they thinking about? Are they thinking about when the next CSI Miami is on? You know? And I'm not saying that they can't have a personal life, but that's their responsibility. You have to have your responsibility. We made a huge mistake when we came Motion Tulsa. We talked about I lost 200 students. My wife, I brought her in as she wanted to be, co-owner of this new thing instead of just me running my thing and her running her thing. And we said that we wanted our managers to have work-life balance. And it was like a beam of attracting light for people who wanted to be lazy. And neither of us ever considered, because she's got a really strong work ethic and so do I. And we just never what we thought is it was going to attract people who had strong work ethic, who would then temper their work ethic and understand, okay, I need to take a day off. No. It attracted people who wanted to take 7 days off and were irritated they had to come in. So you have to be careful with how you frame those things as well, I think. But they need to work. They need to think about it. They need to practice at home. Why aren't they in the mirror? Why have they recorded themselves with their amazing recording device and then played it back and said, oh, that sounds weird, and done it again and again and again? Because we have,
When I was school in Florida, I hired 2 girls out of high school, and they were in, I forget what type of club it was, but it was like to become an entrepreneur. And so I didn't want to hire one girl and then maybe lose her. So I hired 2 girls, and I put one on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the other one. And they were friends. They used to be on the phone off hours practicing the phone script because we used to go over the stats all the time. But they were self-starters. One is now working for CNN. In fact, she got me on the Lou Dobbs show way back in the early 2000s doing his Money Talk. But
That's
they
cool.
both turned out to be very, very successful, but they were self-starters. And like I said, they did the training. We did the training, phone call procedure, but they wanted to get really good at it. And so they would practice together and hold each other accountable.
Yeah. I think that's important. And I do admittedly have some guilt in expecting people to do that, but that guilt fades fast when you can't pay your bills. I have a choice to make. I can provide for my family and keep this place open and keep teaching martial arts and summer camp and after school and kickboxing, or I can be conflicted about whether or not they should have a strong work ethic. No. This is the one that I want. And how are you going to have a strong team if you don't have super high expectations and then have people that meet those expectations? We think about the businesses that are top notch. We've eaten at Chick-fil-A, right?
Yep.
Everybody's eaten at Chick-fil-A. I got my wife Chick-fil-A yesterday in the drive-thru, and because they're so happy, which by the way, my landlord manager, his goddaughter is opening a Chick-fil-A, and he had to be a reference for her, and they vetted him and her so hard. He said that if they accept you, they pay all your franchise fees and you pay them back because they never accept somebody who's going to fail.
Really?
Yeah. You have to pay a $5,000 deposit to apply that you don't ever get back. And then if they accept you, they train you, they do it for you. It's just nobody gets accepted unless they're going to be super successful. Anyway, it's always super happy. It's always a fast line. Everybody's like, my pleasure. I rolled my window down and I literally had a smile on my face because it's always a great interaction. And I was ready to be like, all right, my wife wants a salad or whatever. And she was like, what do you want? And I was like, for a second, I was shocked. I couldn't think because it was such a weird negative interaction. So we want those high expectations, and then your customers start to have those too. But how are we gonna move our business in the way that we want without those expectations?
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement on that. And the only thing I think we have left to discuss is kind of the basis of my email today. When you like someone, you love someone, you got to tell them the truth, and you don't want to tell them the truth because you're going to hurt their feelings or something like that. How do you? No, because I know it's tough.
It is tough.
Do you try to put them in a different position?
You know what I do? Look, I have notes for that right now. I just had a talk with my manager about some things that I really wanted her to do better. I think you have to have somebody who's willing to hear it. Everybody, Sam Ovens, I think. I heard a quote from him the other day that I thought was awesome. Is you don't have business problems. You have personal problems that are manifesting themselves in your business. And I was like, no, not me. But so like, I know it's hard for me sometimes to tell people uncomfortable things because I feel like I feel bad. Like I don't want to hurt their feelings. Like I feel hypersensitive to their emotions, but sometimes writing it out point by point, and this is actually my final draft. I had like 2 rough drafts of exactly what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. I think that really helps. Like even how I start the conversation. Hey, do you have a second? Or is it, hey, can I talk to you? Or is it, hey, see me at the end of class? Like how you even say that very first thing. We practice our intros down to the exact word. We need to practice how we say this. Some people use the compliment sandwich type thing. Hey, you're doing great, but here's what you need to fix. But by the way, you're doing great. Personally, I think that is a selfish tool to try to reduce some of the pain, and it makes them not hear the thing that they need to do. I've tried that before, and it never works out for me.
They're going to go, well, at least I'm doing something's good.
Right. Which I don't want them to be depressed, but also they need to be resilient. We need some resiliency. And I will say that, like I might say, hey, I know that this isn't great news, and I know that I told you need to improve or else. But remember that doesn't mean that you have to have a bad day. This can get better. I'm here to help you make it better.
So I liked your attitude on the very last part, because you really showed that you cared for the person. So you have that feeling, and that the reason I'm telling you this is not because of my business. The reason I'm telling you this is try to help you with your future.
Right. I want you to get better. I saw another statistic. It was something to the effect of, it was the percentages, but millennials, as they say, were the thing that they valued most was like, my generation doesn't know anything about 401ks because our economy has sucked, right? We're like, oh, okay, that's a thing people have. Health insurance, like companies so much now aren't offering health insurance. But what they do really value is mentorship and personal improvement, personal development, because maybe in 1965, you were with Acme Brick Company for 35 years and you never lost your job. Well, we know we're going to be job hopping now. Like we know that's going to be the case. So like we want to get better for the next position. And giving and saying, this is going to make you better. It's hard now, but this is going to make you better. That can be really helpful. I had to have a conversation with my manager a while back about, hey, I need you to do these things. And I asked her point blank, I said, right now, it feels like you don't necessarily want this job. Is this something that you want to do? And she was like, oh my God, that was coming out on my face. And I was like, yeah. She's like, no, I do want this job. She's like, I think I was just too focused on what the next step in my life was going to be. And I was like, well, you have to get better at these things first, or the next step is going to be lateral, not up. Right. I want you to have the next step be up, not lateral. So let's make these things better. And she was like, yeah, I agree. She's been, great since then.
Okay. Just a personal question. You don't have to answer this. I can tell you my, because people always say, your success has to do with your why. Everyone's got to have a strong why to be successful. I'm just going to tell you, when I came out of college to open a martial arts school, the reason I opened a martial arts school is a career choice and to make a lot of money. Because I was thinking about becoming a lawyer. I was thinking about doing this. I love martial arts. I came out of martial arts. Or out of college, my mother just made me do it. You can do this karate stuff if you want, but you got to go to college. So I went to college, but then it's okay. This has been my career choice. So if someone asked me for my why, I would just say, not that I'm in it totally for the money, but my why was to create a career through teaching martial arts. I wasn't doing martial arts, and then if I made a career good, I had to make money because I had plans. My parents were entrepreneurs. They were bakery owners. They were very successful. I had success in my mind being financial success.
Yeah.
Do you think making a good living is a bad why?
No, man, no. But I don't know what everybody else's why is on my staff. I think we do need to figure it out. Like, for example, I know that my manager's why is she really wants to have a family. Like they're at the very tail end of their foster process. Like they're getting approved to be a foster family and then maybe adopt. So like that's her why. That's why she shows up to work at 10 a.m. And doesn't leave until 7 or whatever. My why is I really want like a beacon in our community of positivity and a place where kids can go and be accepted no matter what, because I know that they're not always accepted on the baseball team, and they're not always accepted in school, and they're not even always accepted in church. I was bullied more in church than I was in school, right? Youth groups can be rough, and it doesn't matter how cool the pastor is and how expensive his sneakers are. Like, you still don't feel like you fit in. So that's my why, and it really helps motivate me to be like, no. We don't talk to kids that way. We do set expectations properly. We do communicate like this because it's so clear to me that that's what it is.
That's awesome.
But I don't think a career. But do you have the ability to give them a career?
Oh, for my staff members?
Yeah. Like everybody watching, like, do y'all have the capability of giving them a career? Because if we don't have a successful studio, then we can't pay them.
Well,
we can't.
Exactly. Tom Baker, he's right there in the screen. He's definitely given everyone a career that works for him. They're all his family. He's got his son Tom, he's got John, and he's got Charlie, all working at the same school. No one works full-time, meaning that no one puts in more than 40 hours a week, though, 30 hours or less, and they make great incomes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where they've all bought houses and they're all investing and things like that.
That's great.
So absolutely, and I'm sure sooner or later they're going to break out. That one school has several locations.
Yeah,
he's done that.
It's important.
All right, so I have to bow 5 minutes early. I have to go up to Neil Busick School. He's 20 miles away from me, and I coach him on 1 o'clock on Wednesdays. So,
if y'all need helpful wording and verbiage and terminologies on letting somebody go, you're welcome to message me and say, hey, I gotta fire this person. I don't know what to say. I can give you really good. Like, I'm good at it now. So,
sometimes you have to let them go. Nick O'Keefe used to say, I'd rather have a crisis than a sloppy situation. So sometimes we have those employees and all of a sudden it's a sloppy situation at school and you'd rather have a crisis and work on the floor yourself for a little while. But yeah, I think that type of help from you would be perfect.
Sounds good, guys.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night. Good day.